You are tuned in to the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by Bet365. Use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary with Bet365. Welcome, everyone. I am Christian Saez coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. We've got a very special show for you guys today because we are joined by a special guest, our first official guest since the All-Star break, at least in an interview form, and I'm excited to get to that here in a moment. We're going to be talking all things about the prospects and the future of the Colorado Rockies. Dave Nichols, senior beat writer for the Spokane Indians, the Rockies High A ball club out in Spokane. He was with us, spoke to us just a couple days ago, talked about Charlie Condon and some of the other prospects that are currently coming up through the ranks in the Colorado Rockies organization, what we can expect to see from them, and also who we might be seeing in a Rockies uniform coming up over the next few months and couple years. So a very important and very timely interview with Dave Nichols. We'll be playing that here shortly. But before we get into any of that, we've got to talk about what happened over the last few days. The Rockies lost their second game in a row to the New York Mets. They lost this one 9-1. They lose 2 out of 3. They end up losing their first series at home since they took on the Brewers. And technically that was a tie. That was a tied series that the Rockies and Brewers tied, taking 2-2 in that series. But that was all the way back on July 4th. And ever since then, the Rockies have won every single series at home up until yesterday. They take the loss 9-1. In an unfortunate kind of throwaway game for the Rockies. They had a bunch of players that were sitting that game due to a rest day. You had McMahon, who was out. You had Diaz and Tovar. I believe Blackman was out as well. So really, you just kind of had Brenton Doyle and Chris Bryant as your two star players that were still playing. Everyone else was sitting. Jake Cave was out. So you got Shunk Goodman in there filling in for the Rockies. So it was kind of a throwaway game, a rest day for the Rockies, and it showed, unfortunately. 9-1 was the final score, but for the Rockies, they've been dealing with some injuries right now. German Marquez is the big breaking news that broke yesterday. He has been officially shut down because of a stress reaction to his elbow. Now, the silver lining of this is that this seems to not be affecting the surgery he had from Tommy John, which was impacting him earlier in the season. From talking to Bud Black before the game, Bud Black was saying that this is something different, which is alarming in its own way, but also hopefully just something minor. Bud Black did say that he expects German to just rest and kind of go through his rehab the remainder of the season and then have a traditional off-season and be ready to go again for next year. So in all honesty, this is actually not the worst thing. And I said this on Wednesday. I actually wanted this to happen, not in the sense that I wanted Marquez to have any more injury flare-ups, but more of the fact that I wanted them to take it easy with him because this year is kind of a throwaway season for the Rockies as it is. You're not getting to the postseason. So you got to use these opportunities to build and help your guys who are hurt get better, build into some of those young prospects, getting some guys up. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about that throughout the remainder of the show. So I'm okay with this. German Marquez, obviously unfortunate that we're not going to be seeing him pitching in Coors Field the remainder of this season, but he needs to take care of himself, get healthy, so that when the Rockies are in a better place to potentially make a wild card and postseason run in a couple years, he's still able to get you some good innings and get some good innings out of him. So that's the big news. Ryan Feltner, placed on a 15-day injured list with a shoulder strain. He came out of the game on Wednesday, which was a very good game, I will say, even though the Rockies took the loss. Feltner pitched 1 inning, and then said he kind of felt some tightness behind his shoulder. He was feeling it a little bit during the warm-ups and was hoped that it just kind of would fade away as his arm got loose in the game. It did not work that way. He's not overly concerned from what I heard from him after the game, but to be safe, they're putting him on the 15-day IL with a shoulder strain. And then yesterday, Peter Lambert left the game with an apparent injury. Lambert just didn't quite get the outing that he wanted. We're not quite sure what happened on that end, but the injuries are plaguing the Rockies right now. And it is that time of year. You know, you get into the dog days of summer, and you're not in a place where you're making a run to the playoffs, so injuries start to kind of plague you, and that's where the Rockies are right now. But I want to say there is some good that has come out of this series, and it's something that we don't normally talk a lot about with the Rockies, and that is their bullpen. Their bullpen has been lights out over the last few days, and I want to go back to Tuesday, because Tuesday they got their first win, their only win of the series. They picked up the win 6-3. Kyle Freeland came in, and I forgot to mention Freeland also had an injury that happened there as well. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But Freeland came in. He started that game, went 4 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, kind of an iffy 3 earned run start for him. 7 strikeouts, which was good. We like to see that from Freeland. But then he left the game due to a blister, which we're going to get more updates from Bud today, hopefully, on is that going to affect Freeland moving forward. But he left the game, and after he left that game, you had a Rockies bullpen that came in and threw 4 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, and came away with the victory as Jake Cave had the go-ahead home run. The 2-run home run. He was our UC Health Player of the Game on Wednesday when we did our show. And that was a very gritty win for the Rockies that was led by their bullpen. So 4 innings pitched for the pen, 0 earned runs, gets the 6-3 W over the Mets. And then on Wednesday, although they did not get a win, the Rockies bullpen went 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run before Vodnik. So that was a combination of Davis, Shreve, and Shiviji, and Kinley. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run. And all the way up until Vodnik, they were dealing. And they had the Rockies tied at 2-2 going into the 9th inning. Unfortunately for the Rockies, the rookie Vodnik, who has been on a tear as of late, just wasn't his day. He came in, gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 base on balls, 2 walks. That's the point I want to make is the walks. And Vodnik talked about it with me after the game, saying that he just, you know, his stuff wasn't quite there. His command wasn't where he wanted it to be. And so he did get a strikeout. I mean, Vodnik is young. And Bud Black also mentioned it after the game, saying, you know, look, there's 162 games out of a year. He's a rookie. Like, he's been showing some really good stuff, but this kind of stuff happens, you know, and unfortunately, it just wasn't Vodnik's day. You just hope that on days that it's not going to be your day, your team has a 3-run lead, you know, going into the 9th, and instead it was a tie game. It was not the right situation for him, and he ended up taking the loss. Lawrence did come in and finish out that 9th inning. The Rockies lost 5-3. But even though they got the loss in that game, I write that off as a win, confidence-wise, for the Rockies because they played gritty baseball. And that's exactly what I want to see out of this Rockies team. This is a team that isn't going anywhere this year, so I want to see them really fighting to build that confidence. And Bud Black said that these last 2 starts, and before yesterday, were confidence boosters for his bullpen. And that is a bullpen that has had one of the lowest confidence rates in all of baseball, given where they have been and where they have to get to. It is the sole area that I think we need the most improvement in. And the Rockies did a really good job over the week. So I want to give credit where credit's due. Shout out to our Rockies bullpen. Although they took the series loss, they had a very good outing and good showing in 2 out of those 3 games. And unfortunately, the injuries haven't been helping us on that front either. Want to transition here to talking about our offense, though, and specifically one of our offensive outputs in a guy that we normally don't talk a lot about negatively. But unfortunately, we have to have this conversation because the numbers are starting to build up. Ryan McMahon has been 0 for his last 19. He did not play yesterday because he had the day off. But before that, since the All-Star break, he is 0 for his last 19, 4 for his last 45 at-bats. And again, I don't want to overreact because RyMac is arguably the best player, at least from a veteran perspective, the best player on the Rockies roster. I could make that argument. Brenton Doyle's given him a run for his money, but RyMac as an entire package is arguably the best player on the Rockies roster. But he's in a slump right now. And unfortunately, the numbers are there to the point where we have to acknowledge that he is in a slump. And he knows it. And I think that's partially why Bud Black decided to say yesterday, you know what, we're going to give some guys a rest day and, kind of lick our wounds, and hopefully we can get back. And the score reflected that. But what does RyMac need to do to kind of get back on the horse? Well, I would say that, he's been here before. This is not the first time RyMac has slowed down, and it won't be the last. And this is also a time where I'm okay with this because you're not at the beginning of the year where you need guys to really be coming out and setting the stage for what the rest of the season is going to look like. You kind of know what the rest of your year is going to be. So if I'm the Rockies, I'm okay with RyMac struggling here right now. Obviously, you want him to get better, but allow this to be an opportunity to kind of mix things up. You've got some really good prospects right now who are kind of trying to see what the outlook of the Rockies infield is going to be moving forward. And I'm not saying by any means that RyMac is going to get pushed out of his third base role. I mean, we saw some incredible Gold Glove style plays in the Tuesday and Wednesday games from RyMac, or I should say the Tuesday and Wednesday games. But I do think it's important to allow some of these young guys who are playing in this infield role in the minor league system to get a taste of what even some of these very veteran, successful players like RyMac go through at that level and how they can work through that. And so if RyMac needs to take a couple games to just rest and recover and get back and, get his head back on straight, so be it. I am not overly concerned about wins and losses right now if I'm the Colorado Rockies. And I don't think they should be concerned about them either. And so 9-1 losses are going to happen, and it sucks when you're out at Coors Field and you were hoping for a really good game and maybe a fun outing. We had some friends who were at the game yesterday, and, they got to watch a 9-1 kind of throwaway loss. That's baseball. But I'm okay with the losses. And so RyMac, not concerned about this. 0 for 19, 4 for his last 45. It's going to happen. You just got to take it with a grain of salt and move forward. Work on what you need to work on, but, it's baseball. Shit happens sometimes. And RyMac's just in the thick of it right now, trying to find his groove. And you know what? Sometimes when you get to a point in your season like this, you just got to get back to having fun. It's baseball, right? You're not playing for anything specific at the moment. You're not making a run to the playoffs. So go out there and have fun. I think we forget how fun baseball can be. And don't get me wrong, this is a job for these guys. And you've got to take that mindset. And if you are in a window in your franchise where you have a chance to make it to the postseason, then buckle up and put your head down and work hard. And I'm not saying don't work hard, but have fun right now for the Rockies. There's no pressure. You are just out there trying to build a better future for what's to come over the next couple of years when you get some new prospects that fill those gaps and hopefully get a pitching staff that is competent enough to give you a chance at a wild card. So have fun, RyMac. Get back into the groove of things. But hey, speaking of having fun, there is no better way to have fun than with our friends over at Volo Sports. They are the premier leader of fun in Denver, Colorado. Volo Sports has you covered with tons of fun events and outings where you can get out, meet some people, play different games, join different leagues and clubs, and just go compete and have a good time. But if you're involved with Volo Sports, you've got to get involved with Volo Pass. Volo Pass is a premier monthly membership program that gives members unlimited access to sports, events, and social activities every single night of the week, which is insane when you think about it. There are a lot of events when you join the Volo Pass. You've got so many different things you can get involved in. They're the modern day sport and social club, and it's only $20 a month with Volo Pass. It's the best way to meet new people. We all know how hard it is to make friends and to just get involved in the social community in Denver or really anywhere in the country. And Volo Pass is a great way to kind of get out there and have a nice immediate icebreaker when meeting new people. And the Volo Pass allows unlimited access. If you want to be kind of a pickup, maybe you don't want to be committing to a specific time, you can just join Volo Pass and you can be a drop-in or a sub. And whenever a team needs someone to fill in because they had someone drop out or whatever, you could show up and jump on a team. And there's nothing better than that. They include league discounts up to $50, free or discounted access to tournaments, fitness classes, and events. Travel with the Volo Pass. All perks are accessible in any Volo city. So sign up on the Volo app using code DNVR3 to get Volo Pass for only $10 a month for 3 months. That's DNVR3 to hang out with our friends over at Volo Sports. Speaking of friends, we cannot go any longer without mentioning our friends at Bet365. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up and deposit $10 and choose between either a bet and get offer or a first bet safety net offer. And you've got so many different opportunities with Bet365. They are the premier leader in the betting community, especially here in Denver. We love our friends over at Bet365, and they've got so many great deals with Major League Baseball right now. Major League Baseball is such a fun place to be betting because there are so many different games, and there are games that matter. So you have games like today, the Braves coming into town for the Rockies. I mean, this might not be a big deal for the Rockies, but for the Braves, they've lost 5 straight. And they're going to be showing up ready to play. So there's going to be some good money lines that you can look at for the Mets and the Braves and the Rockies series. And with Bet365, they've got the MLB early payout offer, which basically means that you're a winner if your team goes up 5 runs or more with an instant payout parlay, and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners. Here at Bet365, we don't do ordinary. So be sure to download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Check out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, it's the moment we've been waiting for. We have a conversation with the Spokesman Review beat writer who covers the Spokane Indians. He's been doing it for a long time. I knew Dave Nichols when I was starting out in Spokane as the PA announcer long time ago in a land far, far away out in beautiful Spokane, Washington. But he has the front row seats to everyone who is going to be the future, hopefully the future of the Rockies organization. Charlie Condon, Chase Dollander, and more. Sean Sullivan up there as well. Like, we had a great conversation, Dave and I, and he really is in the thick of it right now because the Rockies have so much to look forward to. And so Charlie Condon, when I talked to Dave, which it was, I believe, on Thursday. No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday I talked to Dave. Yeah, it was Wednesday right before I headed out to the Rockies game. It was right after Charlie Condon's first debut with the Indians. And unfortunately, Condon, in his debut, went 0-for-4 with 3 strikeouts and a flyout. So I will preface that the conversation that I had with Dave was coming in context of Charlie Condon struggled in his first day. But we talked a lot about, like, what did he see? What does he see from the techniques? Where is Condon going to fit in defensively? So I'm going to let you listen for yourself. Here is my conversation with Spokane Indians beat writer Dave Nichols. Enjoy. Dave Nichols in the house with us today, joining the DNVR Rockies podcast. Dave, thank you for taking some time to come on the podcast with us. Are you just getting back from your little road trip to Giza Stadium? Are you just getting back to Spokane, or are you still out in Tri-Cities?
No. I came home last night. I live in Coeur d'Alene, so I'm here in beautiful North Idaho. But we drove back after the game last night. It was a quick commute down, 2.5 hours down, 2.5 hours back. So it was a quick jaunt.
Yeah, I mean, I if I can remember correctly, still one of the most boring stretches of drive you could ever ask for out there. But you got most of it at night, I would guess.
Yeah, there's not much out there other than farmers fields and the occasional crow flying over. But it's a quick drive. It's we had the radio going, and my wife was with me. She was my personal photographer last night for Charlie Condon's debut. So it wasn't a bad trip at all.
Nice. Yeah, I know. We ended up using one of the picture of Condon with the red band trout threads. I know he was looking good. I know Rockies fans are really excited to see him. Obviously, not the debut he was hoping for, but it's day one. So I wanted to just get your thoughts. I know it was his first outing with the Indians, but like, what's the vibes feeling like around Condon making the start in Spokane and his future, working through those levels?
Sure, it's a little bit of a surprise that they assigned him to the Indians here at the end of the season, but I guess it really shouldn't be. You look around Major League Baseball, and a lot of these top college players have been sent to High A here to finish the season out, and really, it's great to have him in Spokane. They've already won the first half. They're leading the second half, so having a player of his stature for the playoff drive here is really a nice little bonus. Also considering all the promotions that the Indians have had here in the second half. He's happy to be here. Manager Robinson Cancel is happy to have him here. He says he's fitting into the clubhouse nicely already. Yeah, he went 0 for 4 last night with 3 strikeouts, but we got to watch him during batting practice early in the game, and he's got really easy power. Gisa Stadium is not the greatest place for a power hitter to debut. It's a very difficult power hitting park. But I expect to see good things out of him down the stretch.
Yeah, we were in the press box actually watching his first at bat when he flied out to left. And I don't know if you saw the highlight of it, but the camera operator, like, panned up super fast. And all of us, our reaction was, oh, he just hit a home run like that. It made it seem like he did. But I feel like when that kind of happens, I'm not there. You were there at the stadium, and you talk about him having this easy power. Like when you watch guys, even when they fly out, there's something about that power that still shows up even when they don't get all of it. Do you see that from Condon as well?
Oh, sure. He got jammed on that last night. And had that been at, excuse me, had that been at a Vista Stadium in Spokane, it would have been a home run. The air was very thick last night. There are fires in the area down there in central Washington, and just in that bowl that Gisa Stadium sits in Pasco, really retains a lot of heat, and the ball does not fly very well out there. But like I said, he got jammed. Still almost hit it out. He hit one out in batting practice that looked like it was off the end of his bat, and it went out to left center. So this is a guy that's got very easy power. You can see it's going to translate into games, and obviously, National Division I Player of the Year, the 30-something home runs. He had 25 as a freshman, set the SEC record for freshman home runs. So this is a guy at 6'6" and 215. Looks like he could be playing NFL tight end when you stand next to him. So yeah, he's going to be a shot in the arm for the Indians offense down the stretch.
Well, we talk a lot about his offense. Let's switch to his defense a little bit. I know it's kind of the underrated part of his kind of complete package, but he's listed as third base, outfield. I'm kind of getting the idea he's going to be shifting more into the third base role. But talk to me a little bit about what you see from him defensively as well.
Sure. Well, he played left field last night, and I think for the Indians, at least for the next few weeks, that's probably where he'll stick. The Rockies promoted Juan Guerrero, who's been the left fielder for the Indians for the past season and a half, to Double-A Hartford yesterday, essentially clearing a spot for him. The Indians have Kyle Karros at third base, who's been more than capable there at the position. So I think we'll probably see Condon stick in left for at least for the next few weeks for the Indians. But yeah, he's played third, he's played first, he's played both corner outfield. So there's a little bit of versatility there. I think right now he's kind of a man without a position. I think they would like to see him stick at third base, but and I haven't seen him play there personally yet. But from all the scouting reports that I hear, it sounds like he's going to be better suited as a pro in the outfield as opposed to third base. But again, here's a guy that's athletically inclined. He hasn't had a chance to work with professional coaches yet on his defense. So I think they just want to get him into the lineup for the end of the year, get him in spring training, and they'll go from there.
Yeah, well, and I will say this outfield or future outfield for the Rockies is very competitive. You've got some guys, really at almost every single level that could compete at the big league level in the next year or two with the trajectory that they're going on. So let's kind of go down the list on some of the other top prospects in Spokane right now. I know Sean Sullivan has been dealing in Spokane. Talk to me a little bit about him. I mean, he just got named the Rockies organizational pitcher of the month. He's putting up some incredible numbers. What have you seen out of Sullivan, that left-handed pitcher?
Well, he's kind of intriguing, right? Because here's a guy that doesn't blow people away with the fastball, although he can get up there in the mid 90s. But this is a guy that has kind of a unique delivery where his release point is way down the mound, so the ball looks like it's rising to these guys, and it gets on the hitters quickly. He's got some deceptiveness. This is a guy that knows how to pitch, has control and command, so he can hit all four quadrants, and really has a good idea about what he wants to do. When you talk to the young man, seems very bright. He thinks the game as much as he plays it. And I think this is a guy that has, somewhat flown under the radar with all the other Rockies top prospects, but this is a guy that could help the Rockies. Actually, I think in a very short order.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I think, it's easy for Rockies fans to look heavily into the pitching prospects because, in all transparency, that's where the Rockies need the most help in right now at the big league level. So I want to get your thoughts on, some of the up and coming pitchers that you've seen recently, even some of the pitchers that have been promoted maybe out of Spokane in the recent months. Who's really caught your eye as someone that you could see competing at the next level very soon?
Well, obviously Chase Dolander comes to mind immediately, right? He was the number one pick last year and was just terrific in Spokane in the first half of the season. Came away very impressed with them. Obviously, came on the college scene very quickly. Didn't have a great final year at Tennessee, but really looked strong for Spokane this year. This is a guy that was pumping fastballs in the mid 90s. Really good use of breaking balls too. I think that the changeup for me was interesting because it didn't come in as one of his highlighted pitches yet. I thought he used it very well as a third offering to get people to lay off the fastball. It comes with the same action as the fastball and kind of disappears on them. So I thought Dolander did a terrific job while he was here. I think that his performance in Spokane probably reinforced the idea of why the Rockies took him so high and boosted him up on the national prospect lists. We want to talk about a guy that might fly under the radar a little bit, Zach Agnes, who was the closer for the first half of the Indians. Again, you look at him and it's not overpowering stuff, but he knows how to pitch. He knows how to use it. He goes out there with a game plan, and this is a guy pitching in one inning relief stints, really was an effective tool and got the bump to Hartford as well this year.
Yeah, I know. I love to see some of the progression too. And I think the consistency that we've been seeing coming out of Spokane, the success has been really impressive. I wanted to get your thoughts as well on, some of the trade moves that the Rockies have seen, specifically right-handed pitcher. Is it Eugenio Herrera? Is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's an interesting spelling, and it could go a lot of different ways. But I think
that's what we were trying to get at here. We were looking at it, and also the press release that came out from the Rockies had it spelled differently than the actual release that was, I think, posted on social media. So we were trying to figure out which one was correct. But talk to me a little bit about Herrera. I mean, he's kind of the new face in the Rockies prospect organization. He just came over in that Nick Mears trade. What are you seeing out of him right now?
Well, we saw him in Spokane last week. He made his first start for the Indians and was really impressive. I mean, this is a 20-year-old guy that wasn't sure what to expect when he took the mound the other night, but just impressive. He had swing and miss stuff. He ran into a little bit of trouble in the third inning and gave up a couple of consecutive hits, but gave up a couple of runs, but then buckled down, got out of that inning, and then the fourth and fifth innings just blew guys away again. So this is a guy that didn't panic when he got into trouble. I think he was relying a lot on his fastball that night, which is probably why guys started barreling up there in the third inning. But then, got a visit from the pitching mound or from the pitching coach, and then buckled down and got his outs. And I talked to Blaine Beatty after the game, and Beatty was just very impressed with Herrera's composure, with his stuff. He raved about the slider, called it a wipeout slider, and this is going to be a guy for the rest of this season and maybe even next year in Spokane, since he's only 20, to get a chance to see what he can really do.
Yeah, how's his accuracy? Because I know when you get guys who rely on that fastball, especially 20-year-olds, they might come in throwing 100 miles an hour, but have a hard time locating that pitch. Is accuracy something he's trying to improve on, or does he have pretty good control of his pitches early in his career?
Well, I think the control is pretty good. He didn't walk very many people the other night. Maybe the command, there's a difference between control and command, right? Control is throwing strikes and command is throwing them where you want them. And I think that's probably, as you said, with most 20-year-olds, that's probably the deal, is where he's getting it over the plate, but just maybe not, doesn't always have that fine command. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him, come back to Spokane at least the first half of next year to refine that. But again, really good composure, and Blaine Beatty just loves the stuff.
Nice. We love to hear that. Last couple guys I wanted to ask about, switching more back to the offensive side. Jose Cordova, first baseman. He's batting .361. He's got over 500 slugging. Like, he's been hitting the skin off the baseball. What have you been seeing out of Cordova in these last few stretches?
Well, the Indians have had 3 or 4 catchers on the roster all year, and at the beginning of the season, Cordova didn't get a whole lot of time. But since they don't have a natural first baseman on the roster, they've also been rotating these catchers at that position as well, at first base. Cordova has handled himself there. He's gotten more playing time as the season gone on, and it warrants it. I mean, you mentioned the stats. He's really been making good contact, and it's a guy that kind of surprised me a little bit, right? Because they didn't use him a whole lot in the first half, so you figure, okay, this is a guy that's filling a position spot, but he's really come on. He's a guy that's been barreling the ball here. As the summer got hotter, so did he. And he's acquitted himself at first base pretty well. Doesn't have the greatest range down there, and obviously still working on his footwork around the bag. But he's been able to man the position and hold his own there.
Yeah. Awesome. That's good. I don't know if you had much time to watch the Rockies game last night because of the fact that you were working the Charlie Condon game.
Right.
But I know that you were around when Michael Toglia was coming up through Spokane. And I wanted to know, did you see the fact that Michael Toglia squared around and tried to bunt for a base hit yesterday? Does that shock you from what we saw in Spokane with Toglia?
I didn't see it. Totally is a very well-rounded ball player, right? He's a tremendous defender. It doesn't surprise me that he would want to try to bunt every once in a while. I'm sure that the Major League Baseball defenses are deploying shifts against him. But this is a guy that's that can fall out of bed and hit a home run. He's just got tremendous power. He's got a good idea, a good approach at the plate. I'm really happy to see his success this year. He's a state of Washington kid, so you always try to root for those guys to go on. So it's been great to see his success this year. Wish nothing but success for him in the future. But no, it doesn't surprise me that he would try to square, especially if they were giving him the line and he could take it from him.
Yeah, that's exactly. I had asked Bud Black about that because Bud Black talked before the game with us and said, he's really pushing Toglia to get his average up. His on-base percentage needs to improve. And then next thing we know, Tolia's squaring around to bunt for a hit on the first pitch. And to be fair, he did bunt it about 350 feet backwards over the net. So I was saying, I'm like, well, he does bunt for power as well. It kind of fits the Toglia experience. But I know that was a fun even just few months that we got to see him in Spokane, and cool to see him getting that experience at the big league level. And hopefully some of these guys that you're just talking about now in the next couple of years can be making their way up into the Rockies lineup as well. And I know we're going to be keeping a big eye on Charlie Condon. So Dave, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. It has been a pleasure. And I know we can follow you on Twitter. Give us your socials, because I know you're posting a lot about the Spokane Indians and the prospects right now.
It's at D Nichols SR. So
Perfect.
Dave Nichols review, yeah.
Awesome. Yes. So follow Dave. Get all your prospect information in Spokane from Dave. But Dave, thank you again for joining us. We always appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
Awesome having Dave on to chat with us a little bit about the prospects. And I will add as well that after Dave and I talked, Charlie Condon has had 12 at-bats in Spokane, now has 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 home run, and a stolen base. So we pretty much got to experience his worst outing in the minors on his first day, and since then he has been absolutely crushing it, which we expected to see out of him. So good on Charlie Condon. We hope to see him up in a Rockies uniform as soon as possible. But want to give a shout out to our friends over at Raising Cane's, because if you are hungry at all, Raising Cane's has you covered. They have the best chicken fingers on the market. Make a pit stop at Raising Cane's for craveable, hand-battered chicken fingers. They're always cooked to order and made just for you. Racing for delicious chicken finger meals served up fast. Order up tender chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries. That's a mouthful. And buttery Texas toast. And don't forget the creamy coleslaw and secret Cane's sauce. Find your local Raising Cane's location or order online or on your mobile phone as well. For cooked-to-order hand-battered chicken fingers, race into Raising Cane's. Turbocharge your chicken fingers and get them even faster by ordering online at raisingcanes.com or through their mobile app. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Well, our friends at Coors Light, if you're looking for some ice-cold, refreshing beer, Coors Light has you covered. And this, although it doesn't feel like it outside right now, it's a little cold and dreary. It feels like the middle of fall. We've got some Rockies baseball coming up over the weekend, and it is going to get nice and warm again this weekend in the mid and high 80s. It is going to be beautiful out at Coors Field. So if you're going to be out at the ballpark or really anywhere this summer, you've got to pair it with a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light. Coors Light is the best light beer around, and there is no better way to choose a chill mindset than to choose Coors Light. And it is the best combination anytime you're out at the ballpark. You know, I like to spend a lot of time out on the side of a river or a lake fishing as well. Maybe one of these days I'll run into Charlie Blackmon out there, but either way, I'm going to have a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light with me at all times. So make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going online to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Please celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Well, there's an interesting story coming out of Major League Baseball yesterday. The Chicago White Sox, who have been on a roller coaster of a ride these last few months, they just got their first win since July 10th, about 3 days ago, maybe it was 4 days ago. After losing 21 games in a row, they win 1 game against the Oakland Athletics, and then they go and win the next game, and they said, you know what, enough is enough. We got to get rid of our entire coaching staff. So the Chicago White Sox fired head coach Pedro Griffel. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't really know because I don't know much about him since he was the White Sox coach. He was the head coach of one of the losingest teams in all of Major League Baseball history. They also got rid of bench coach Charlie Montoyo, third base coach Eddie Rodriguez, and assistant hitting coach Mike Tosar. So pretty much you completely got rid of your entire coaching staff, and they have named interim head coach Grady Sizemore to be the replacement for the remainder of the season. I would imagine that's not going to be a permanent replacement, but who knows? It is the Chicago White Sox. But it brings up the question of, is this something we're going to see out of the Rockies? And I think it's something we talk about every year because there is always that conversation of what's going to happen with the Rockies because they have been so bad over the course of, really since 2018. What are we going to do with the managers? Is there going to be a moment where we say, okay, enough's enough, we've got to get rid of Bud Black? Someone has to take the fall for these years. And I think maybe a couple years ago, maybe there was a possibility for that. But I would say right now, I don't see that coming anytime soon because the Rockies have admitted to being in a reconstruction phase or whatever that means. But they've admitted that they're in a place where they're not expecting to go to the playoffs right now. So they have a direction that they want to be headed in the future years. And so although they didn't do very much during the trade deadline, they did sell a couple guys to get some new prospects. They have been drafting prospects. They are trying to build up their future. And you can't do that if you are changing management over and over and over. And also, the Rockies front office loves Bud Black. So I don't see the Rockies making any changes in your current management anytime soon. And I want to remind people of that because I was seeing people on Twitter going out and saying, oh, fire Bud Black. See, the White Sox have it, right? They need to get rid of Bud Black. Well, what do you get out of that? So you move on from Bud Black. Well, then what? Well, is it Bud Black's fault that the bullpen that the Rockies front office has provided is one of the worst in all of baseball over the last couple of years? Is it Bud Black's fault that, the guys that are taking up the most amount of money on the team aren't producing the way that they should be? Chris Bryant? I would argue no. I would argue that has nothing to do with Bud Black. So I think the issue isn't the management for the Rockies. It's the fact that you made some pretty bad decisions in the front office a couple years ago, or the last couple years, and now you're in a position where you're having to kind of lick your wounds and pivot into a different outlook on the future of this franchise. So that's what the Rockies are doing right now, and it would make no sense to me to get rid of Bud Black. So if they got rid of Bud Black and all their pitching coaches and whatever, like the White Sox did, that would be stupid to me. That would be, throwing smoke into the wind and hoping you can see it. Like you're not getting anything out of that. So I don't see the Rockies being in the same boat as the Chicago White Sox. And if they tried to do something like that, I'd have an issue with it. And I want to compare it also to the Avalanche. We've got our Avs show coming up right after this. And the Avalanche were in this same boat, a couple of years ago, Kale? I mean, you'll have to inform me on this because you were here when the Avs were kind of in their rebuild. I wasn't. I was in Spokane with the Spokane Indians. Like, there were some years for the Avalanche where they felt like the Rockies, where you were like, are we doing the right thing? But the Avalanche stuck with Jared Bednar, and they got to where they needed to go. Do you see similarities between the two?
Yeah. Oh. Plug in my mic.
Oh, he's plugging in. It's a Friday. We're catching up.
Yeah, casual
there
Friday. We'll call it a casual Friday. Yeah, it's similar. I mean, the Avs in, I think it was 2015, had the worst season in the history of the NHL, and then they made the playoffs the year after that.
Yeah.
So, it was, and they kept same general manager, same coaching staff. They just stuck by their guys. And it was really cool because they ended up making the playoffs in the last game of the season. Like, it was a win and get in situation.
Yeah.
And then they all dogpiled on the ice, and it was super cool.
Well,
it was super cool.
And I've talked about this before and saying if the Rockies are going to get into the postseason in the next few years, it's going to be through a play-in game. It's going to be a wild card. They're not going to beat the Dodgers for the division, most likely. So theoretically or realistically, the best way the Rockies can hope to get into the playoffs in the next couple of years is through a play-in game, similar to how the Avs did a couple of years ago. And that's where I just feel like I don't want to overreact yet for the Rockies. Yes, they're struggling. Yes, there's a lot of things that need to be improved on, but they're in that point in their season or in their franchise where they're making decisions for the future of the franchise. Getting rid of your management, your current manager, doesn't fit that rebuilding phase yet. If they were going to do that, they should have done that 2 or 3 years ago, right? Like, they haven't been good since 2019. So I don't see this being a cause to overreact for fans to say we need to get rid of Bud Black because the White Sox are clearing house, the Rockies suck, we need to clear house too. Take a page out of the Avs book. Jared Bednar, we quickly changed our tone on Bednar when the Avalanche started winning because they allowed some of those prospects to get better and build through that lineup. And now the Avs have one of the best lineups, some of the best players in the National Hockey League. And, Stephen Cross says, wouldn't be shocked if the Rockies have a top 5 farm in the Toyota chat. I agree. And I think they're on pace to have that. We also haven't talked about the fact that the Rockies might be in a place where they might get the first overall draft pick next year. That's for a different show. So don't overreact, guys. We're going to be okay. The Rockies will be okay with Bud Black at the helm. We have faith in our manager, Bud Black. Okay? But speaking of having faith in the quality and consistency of anything, if you're going to have faith in something, you got to have faith in our friends over at Shady Rays, because Shady Rays has you covered in so many different ways. They have the premium best shades on the market, in my opinion, and that is why we are a partner with Shady Rays, because they have such good variety and quality of sunglasses. If you're in need of new sunglasses, or even you just want to make a change and get a couple more pairs of sunglasses to add to your repertoire, Shady Rays has you covered. They are durable, they are exclusive, and they look good. You can wear them and do anything. I talked last show about how I like to go hiking a lot and how, they keep your eyes protected, but they also look really good. It doesn't matter if you're out skating on the ice in the winter, or if you're out at the ballpark just watching some good baseball. I mean, we saw a couple lasers on foul balls going into the stands the last couple days. Well, hey, if you take a foul ball to the face and you've got Shady Rays on, odds are your sunglasses are staying intact, and you can't say that about a lot of the other sunglasses out on the market. So our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with some amazing sunglasses and so many different types of sunglasses as well. So we've got a special deal exclusively for our listeners. Head over to Shady Rays, and they're giving out the best deal of the season. At shadyrays.com, use code DNVR for 35% off all polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Also, cannot finish this show without giving a shout out to our friends over at Toyota, because at Toyota, they know premium quality. They've got a lineup of amazing vehicles that have you covered in anywhere you want to go. We were just talking about this Kayla and I were just talking about this up in the studio before the show about how, in a different world, I would love to have a Toyota Camry, because I love how sleek and sporty the new Camrys are. But I live in Colorado, so I can't really I can't really avoid getting an SUV or a truck. But no matter where you live or what you want, whether you like the sleek, sporty look of the Toyota Camry or you like the more outdoorsy looks of the SUVs, Toyota has you covered. They've got 17 different models available with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. Toyota also currently offers more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. There are 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. SUVs take command of the road, like the 4Runner, the RAV4, the Grand Highlander, so many different choices. So head over to your various different Toyota stores, the Front Range Toyota store at a location near you, AutoNation Toyota in Centennial, Arapahoe, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. Well, I wanted to give a little update because we talked about a topic a couple days ago about how Major League Baseball announced that they will be hosting a game at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and we got some updated graphics to show you. This is what it will actually look like, and how freaking cool is that? I mean, that's like 100,000 people that are going to be watching a baseball game. I mean, I know we had the Field of Dreams game out in the cornfields, but that's pretty badass, if you ask me. Look at how much space you have. You've got you've got 100,000 people wrapped around. Will they fill 100,000 people for a Braves and Reds game? I don't know. But if it looks anything remotely like that, that is one of the coolest baseball games I will have ever seen. And how fun for the players to get out there in the Bristol Motor Speedway in front of possibly 100,000 fans. And I want to compare it to, we saw, Iowa have, I think we saw Nebraska having a volleyball game played out at their Nebraska stadium in front of like 70,000 people. And then we saw that with Iowa, with Caitlin Clark having her game broadcasted and played in a football stadium in front of, again, like 50,000 people. And I feel like this is baseball's version of that, where you normally you could fit 40,000 people into a stadium for a Major League Baseball game. Now you're looking at 100,000, 70, 80, 100,000 people at a motor speedway. That could be insane. So I am super excited. That is on August 2nd in 2025. That's a long way out, guys, but it looks like a really good time. So got to give you the update on those as well. But we want to give you a look ahead to what this upcoming series is going to be for the Rockies. They take on the Braves, another series where they could possibly play spoiler because the Braves have sucked recently. They are on a 5-game losing streak, but they, going into their last series, were only 3 games back from the wild card. And so these games really matter. And the Rockies have an opportunity to make things interesting for the Braves. And if we ever have an opportunity where the Rockies can go screw up a playoff run for the Atlanta Braves, count me in. So I hope this losing streak continues for the Braves. They've lost 5 in a row. And I will say the Rockies are in need of some redemption because the Rockies did lose every single game that they played the Braves last year. So they got to get some redemption. And our guy Tyler Gordon is going to be out on the mound, making another start after his amazing outing last week against the Padres. He went 6 innings pitched with 1 earned run, 1 hit, 1 walk. He was phenomenal. Hopefully he has a very good outing this week. We're going to keep an eye on Kyle Freeland, who is questionable. No Ryan Feltner, no German Marquez. So bring up the young guys. As we said in the open of the show, bring in the youths here for the Rockies. Hopefully we get to see some young prospects making their way up to the Rockies squad as they get set to take on the Braves. I will be out at Coors Field the remainder of the day watching some good baseball. We hope to keep posted and keep you guys posted and come hang out with us as well. But if I don't hear from you at the game, we hope you guys have a good weekend. From myself, Christian Saez, Kale, our super producer, you can find me online on Twitter at CJJ And a reminder that we do have our DNVR Rockies takeover on August 17th. So if you want, go on Twitter. We've got the link up there to on a pinned tweet for you to register and come hang out with us for Todd Helton night on the 17th. That is going to be a ton of fun. But either way, we've had a blast here. Thanks for hanging out with us on the shows this week. This has been the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by Bet365. We will see you next time. Stick with us for the Avs show after this, and we'll see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.